any of my services. Yeah, so I think you can probably go ahead and start subscribing it to this queuing services. SNS would be available in many other services where you can go ahead and start subscribe to the SNS and start receiving the messages. Let's jump over to the last topic of today's webinar. That would be the Lambda service. I've kind of briefly touched base on the Lambda services, right? So these are some of the services that I'm actually using it. Let me just go here. So the Lambda service allows you to actually write a small function with its some of its own parameters. The idea again is that you create a function or a code base that can actually sit here within the Lambda service, and then you define the triggering mechanism, right? And then you actually start executing the code, right? So this is just a simple code that we have actually written here, and then you can write a Java code outside of it and actually upload a zip file. Let me show you that. I think it was just this sample code, right? So this is a sample Java code that was actually written in Java, and then this was actually uploaded via the zip file. So once you have written the zip file, you have to have a proper zip format for Java, and then actually upload that. Once you do that, you can define the runtime environment. For example, these are all the environments that are supported by this Lambda service. I have chose Java 8, but you can use Python and different languages, and .NET is available as well. This is the main method, which is the entry point to this code base, right? So if you want to start, executing the function, what would be the entry point to this? So you just define the entry point. You can actually get a help. See right here, you can tell the Lambda runtime which handler method to invoke by setting the handler parameter on your function configuration. The following handler formats are supported in Java. So package name, class, and the method. For example, com.main and the handler, which would be the actual method name, calls the handler method. So in my example, this is the package, obviously, right? And then you defined the actual method name, which would be the say hello handler, right? Then you can also define your function is allocated CPU proportional to the memory configured. You can allocate more memory if you have to, but again, you will be incurring some cost there. Use an existing role. This is all part of the IAM. If you want to actually allow a assumed role within the IAM, then you can also set the existing role, or you can create a new role. Rule creation, you can define the role over here, and then also define the policy. So this is all something that I've already covered in the last IAM role policy sessions. So it gives you a very basic interface where you can go ahead and specify the runtime environment for your Lambda service. So once this is all packaged and done, again, like I said, and if you want to tie this with your SNS, or maybe this is something that you may want to probably just call it from your HTTP method. So a good example or use case would be similar to what I was mentioning earlier. Let's say if you want to return a catalog to your vendor partners, right? And the catalog might be a list of all the products that you have in the system, and you don't want to allocate a server for that because this might be something that a vendor may request on a need basis. So what you do is basically you make a call every that often, maybe once a day or something like that. For that, you don't really need a server. What you do is basically you can go ahead and create a Lambda function, and that Lambda function would actually retrieve the catalog from your database and return to the callee. And that Lambda function comes to life only at the time when there's a call from a vendor. Other than that, this Lambda function just stays dormant. You don't really have to incur any cost. So it becomes very cost-effective solution. And you can update this code base any which way time you want by just dropping a new jar file, new zip file to the Lambda function. It becomes very, very cost-effective. And this is the crux of the serverless architecture within Amazon. Okay. And you can also kind of think about this as a microservice solution, right? Because you can have small microservices that are defined as the Lambda functions. Those microservices Lambda function can be dropped here. And you can have tons of those, distribute those functions to your partners, vendors, or even your applications, and those applications are basically calling these functions. The other advantage of this is, apart from the cost effectiveness, is also the scalability. So these Lambda functions are horizontally scalable, meaning that you don't really have to worry about what if I get a load on my servers, then would this actually scale? Lambda services are horizontally scalable by Amazon. So as the load comes in, they would actually spin off more machines in the back end. You won't even have to worry about it. It's all done under the hood. So cost effectiveness and load balancing is all done and taken care of the Lambda services, Lambda function. Do take a look at this Lambda services. It is very powerful in serverless architecture, and it frees up microservices and deviates from the monolithic application architecture. Cost effectiveness is definitely there, and also from the load balancing and performance perspective. It does, like I said, support not just Java. It supports many languages that you're familiar with. You can easily implement those in those appropriate languages. And again, there might be some changes. If you're doing a Java, you have to upload a zip file, versus if you have a Python, then the function name the upload of that function might be a little differently. So you may want to probably look into it based on the need. All right, so that's pretty much it from my side. Back to